There looks to be former ECW involvement next week on NXT from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the former ECW arena, with Rob Van Dam appearing on NXT last night, as well as Bubba Dudley, with Nunzio also teasing his involvement next week. We got the ratings for Monday's edition of Raw on USA Network. New Japan Pro Wrestling star El Fantasma reveals his cancer diagnosis. The NXT Tag Team Championships are staying where they are as Nathan Frazer and Axiom retain. Rhea Ripley returns to NXT but is attacked in the parking lot. Jordan Grace, the TNA Knockouts World Champion, also makes her return to WWE's developmental brand. Charlie Dempsey still is the NXT Heritage Cup holder. Chris Bay releases a statement after his serious neck injury sustained at a recent TNA Wrestling television taping. AJ Styles reveals the reason why he declined entering the TNA Wrestling Hall of Fame. And WWE announces WWE ID. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with next week's NXT event at the former ECW arena beginning to take shape, with a lot of former ECW alumni set to appear at the show. As NXT heads to the ECW arena in Philadelphia next week, Extreme Legends are coming out of the woodwork to welcome the developmental brand to the 2300 arena. Rob Van Dam appeared during the closing moments of WWE NXT to tease some form of involvement in the feud between Javon Evans and Wes Lee. Evans was teaming with Cedric Alexander against Axiom and Nathan Frazer for the NXT Tag Team Championships, but had his focus taken away from the bout as Lee emerged at ringside with a steel chair. Evans landed a tope suicida on Lee, and the pair would continue to brawl to the backstage area while Alexander was left in the ring to be pinned by the retaining champions. With the match over, the show picked back up with the still fighting Evans and Lee, with officials barely managing to pull them apart. NXT General Manager Ava and Rob Van Dam appeared between them, with the ECW legend saying he knows what he wants to do next week and nonchalantly walking off as the pair of Lee and Evans continued their melee amidst the confusion. Now, it's yet unknown what Van Dam specifically meant by knowing what he wanted to do next week. Whether that means he could be interjecting the feud as a special guest referee or a wrestler, we'll have to wait and see. Now, Bubba Dudley, he is going to be wrestling next week at the ECW arena after initially turning down NXT champion Trick Williams' offer to team up and take on Ethan Page and Ridge Holland following the end of Halloween Havoc on Sunday. Bubba Dudley changed his mind and agreed to the tag team match at NXT 2300 Live from the ECW arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania next Wednesday. Dudley interrupted a segment where Ethan Page and Ridge Holland were lamenting over the NXT championship that Page failed to capture at the Premium Live event, with Holland saying he would be the man to knock Williams off his throne and take his title. He said Williams knows it, and that's why he asked Dudley to do his dirty work. Holland said he was glad Dudley came to his senses and rejected Williams' offer. Dudley's music then hit as he stormed down to the ring. He said that he didn't know much about Holland before Halloween Havoc, but now, over the past 48 hours after Dudley helped Williams from a beatdown from Page and Holland, that's all he's hearing about. Dudley said that Holland disrespected him, his radio show, his broadcast partner Dave LaGreca, and all wrestling fans during the pre-show on Sunday. He said the NXT fans would need to see a lot more from Holland if he's ever going to get a shot at the title. Holland retorted that nobody cares what Dudley thinks anymore. He called him a nostalgia act and called ECW overrated. That earned him a punch to the face by Dudley after Holland threatened to put him in the hospital. Williams ran down the ramp and even the numbers game, returning the favor from Halloween Havoc. After they drove the heels out of the ring, Dudley got back on the mic and agreed to the match next week. Now, it looks like we're also going to see Nunzio next week at the former ECW arena. Tony D'Angelo got a call from what seemed to be Nunzio on this week's NXT, teasing an interaction between the two on next week's show. Tuesday night's episode saw the NXT North American champion get a voicemail from someone that Vic Joseph tentatively identified as the former ECW and WWE star, upset that he was going to be at the 2300 arena next week and hadn't told him, noting that wasn't how they did business. He told D'Angelo to make sure to bring his title. D'Angelo told Luca Crucifino and Stax that he would handle things next week. Nunzio was known as Little Guido in ECW and was the leader of the FBI, that being the full-blooded Italians. Now let's talk about the ratings for Monday's edition of Raw on USA Network. This past week's Raw was the go-home show for the Red Brand for the Crown Jewel PLE in Saudi Arabia, which is set to take place on November 2nd. How many people did tune in this past Monday in terms of overall viewership and ratings? The October 28th edition of Raw witnessed a dip in average overall viewership and an even larger fall in the key demographic ratings. The average overall viewership of the show was 1.4 million viewers, which is the lowest since the September 23rd edition of the show, as per WrestleNomics. This represents an 11% fall compared to the October 21st edition of the show, while a 9% decrease when compared to the 4-week trailing average. The key 18-49 rating for the show saw an even bigger decline, registering a 0.42 rating and an 18% drop from the previous week, and a 12% decline compared to the 4-week trailing average. The decrease in average overall viewership and key demographic ratings could be attributed to the competition that the Red Brand faced against Monday Night Football as well as the World Series. The show placed third on cable in the key demographic on that night, behind the NFL game between the New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers as well as the game's kickoff show. But it ranked number 7th in the key demographic ratings during prime time as the World Series game between the LA Dodgers and New York Yankees topped the charts with a rating of 3.25 according to Programming Insider. Next week's Raw will take place in Riyadh and will be taped on Sunday, a day after the Crown Jewel show. Now, some sad news here when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling star El Phantasmo. He has revealed that he has been diagnosed with cancer and that he will be stepping away from the ring to get better. The former IWGP Tag Team Champion revealed on social media that doctors have found a tumor of cancer after he went a few tests, but is hopeful of getting better soon. He also requested his fans not to worry about him. He said, quote, "Just want to get this out of the way so everyone doesn't worry about me. The last 2 weeks I've had a bunch of scans and tests done, and doctors have found a little tumor of cancer. Things are thankfully happening really fast, but I have an amazing family, friends, and fans by my side, and I'm so grateful to have the support of warriors who have gone through the same thing before, and I look forward to the help those going through it," said ELP. ELP appealed to fans to pray and support TNA wrestling star Chris Bay, who recently underwent surgery after being stretchered out of his match in TNA. He added that he is upbeat following the diagnosis and that he isn't scared or nervous. The Canadian star's statement concluded by promising that he would be back one day to wrestle in New Japan again and fight alongside veteran star Hiroshi Tanahashi. We wish him the best in his recovery. Now, going back to NXT last night, we still have NXT Tag Team Champions in the form of Nathan Fraser and Axiom after working through the ongoing dissension as a team to defeat Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander. We touched on this earlier on. Wes Lee eventually got involved, allowing the Tag Team Champions to retain their titles. Now, we saw Rhea Ripley actually appear last night on NXT. Rhea Ripley returned to NXT, but it didn't end well for the former Women's World Champion, falling victim to a seeming ambush from Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez in the parking lot. Ripley returned to her old stomping grounds as a backstage guest this week, giving the newly announced Dream Team of Zarya, Julia, Stephanie Vacqua, Kalani Jordan, and Jordan Grace some encouragement ahead of their 10-woman tag team bout next week. A later segment revealed Ripley to have been bloodied in the parking lot, the camera picking up a departing and laughing Morgan and Rodriguez, the former holding a bat, before finding Ripley lying beside her car, partially shut in the door. A shocked and confused Vic Joseph and Booker T, meanwhile, assured fans on broadcast they would follow up with an update. Ripley and Morgan have been feuding over the WWE Women's World Championship and Dominic Mysterio on Raw for the past couple of months, with Rodriguez providing a vital assist in their latest title bout. With the attack this past episode on NXT, it's unknown if Ripley may be out until after Morgan has had her champion versus champion match with Nia Jax at Crown Jewel this weekend, but it's clear to see their feud is far from over. Now, I kind of just alluded to this here, but we've got a big tag team match set for next week's episode of NXT before that show emanating out of the old ECW arena in Philadelphia. In addition to a hardcore match between Lola Vice and Jada Parker, the NXT Women's Division will be represented across a newly announced 10-woman tag team bout, which also includes former TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordan Grace. The competitors in the upcoming contest emerged in the wake of Zarya's dominant NXT debut victory over Brinley Reese. Instead of celebrating her win, Zarya found herself surrounded by the vengeful trio of Fatal Influence, Cora Jade and NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez, the latter of whom wanted to specifically introduce Zarya to the women's division. Foreseeing a 5-on-1 attack, former NXT Women's North American Champion Kalani Jordan joined Zarya in the ring to better the odds. Moments later, Julia and Stephanie Vacqua followed suit. Finally, in a surprise development, Jordan Grace did as well. As both armies stood face to face, a brawl soon ensued, with the lineup of Grace, Zarya, Jordan, Julia, and Vacqua clearing the ring of all of their adversaries. Unfortunately for Perez, she will simultaneously use as a human weapon to take out her respective allies on the outside. Shortly after, NXT confirmed that the women will meet again next week for a cross-promotional tag team match. For Grace, this will mark her first NXT showing since September 10, when her Knockouts Championship defense against Sol Ruka ended in a no contest. Grace has since lost that same title to the Russian Dynamite Masha Slamovich, so that match is now set for next week. Charlie Dempsey still holds the NXT Heritage Cup after a bit of best efforts from his own father, William Regal, to help his opponent, Lexis King. In recent weeks, King has been having a crisis of conscience following both a victory and a loss against Oro Mensah, where neither man fought fair, where he had been relying on Dempsey to give him advice before challenging for the cup. King wasn't able to find a corner man until Halloween Havoc, when Regal volunteered to be in his corner. Dempsey kept King down to the mat in the first round, but he kept fighting back with his own ground game. Dempsey scored the first 4 with 35 seconds left in the round. In round 2, the champion started off more aggressive. At one point, King looked to be injured after Dempsey dumped him over the ropes. He appeared to have hit his ankle or his knee on the ring apron and clutched his leg as the show went to a break. Men were back in the ring as the broadcast came back, but video of King being attended to by a medical team on the stage, then getting back to the match, was shown. In the final round of the match, Regal attempted to slide King a pair of brass knuckles when he was downed in the corner. King had been trying to score clean victories, didn't take them. Dempsey rolled King up off the distraction to retain his Heritage Cup. We spoke about Chris Bay earlier on. We do have a statement, a bit of an update on the former X Division champion. He suffered a severe neck injury at a recent TNA Wrestling taping in Detroit, Michigan. The injury was so severe, as I mentioned, that former Bullet Club compatriot ELP even asked to send Bay their well wishes. Now, in a new statement made on X through TNA Wrestling, Bay addressed the fans in the wake of the scary injury. He said, quote, "I just want to take a few moments to extend my heartfelt thanks and deepest appreciation for so much and to so many over the past few days," Bay began. "From everyone at TNA Wrestling to the incredible medical staff here in Detroit to family, friends, and fans worldwide, I know you've been praying for my full recovery from the in-ring accident this past Sunday. Monday was day 1 for me on this journey, which I know will be long and challenging. Thanks again for the love and support, and please keep the prayers coming." Bay has reportedly already undergone surgery, but details are scarce on the severity of the injury and the length of recovery for Bay, other than the surgery being called, quote, successful. Of course, we get any more details on this in the future, we will let you know. Now, AJ Styles, of course, there was a story regarding him not going into the TNA Wrestling Hall of Fame. AJ Styles has taken to X to clarify the situation surrounding his potential induction into TNA's Hall of Fame. This past week, news broke that Styles was approached for a possible induction, but WWE declined it. Now it appears that the decision was Styles and Styles alone. Quote, "I'm still an active wrestler, I hope," Styles posted. He said, quote, "I made the decision not to go into the TNA Hall of Fame, not WWE. I appreciate TNA, but I don't want to go into any Hall of Fame as long as I'm still active. My choice." So, seemingly, Styles confirming it wasn't WWE that blocked it, it was actually him. And finally, WWE made a big announcement yesterday. It's no secret that one of the visions of WWE's Chief Content Officer, Paul Levesque, has been to expand the company into different areas, including establishing performance centers in the UK, which WWE did briefly in NXT UK, but also Japan, Mexico, and other territories. And WWE was also created the WWE Next in Line program for college athletes. Now, WWE is looking to get involved with independent pro wrestling with a new program that will have them very attached to certain areas of the scene going forward. In a press release, WWE announced WWE ID, short for WWE Independent Development. The new program has been launched to, quote, "identify, support, and develop independent wrestling schools and wrestling talent," end quote. 5 independent wrestling schools have already entered and earned the official designation of being a WWE ID school, including Reality of Wrestling in Houston, the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, the Black and Brave Academy in Davenport, Iowa, Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center in Concord, New Hampshire, and Knox Pro Wrestling in Los Angeles. Quote, "WWE ID is the latest in our efforts to identify and support the journey of up-and-coming wrestlers, in turn raising the profile and strengthening the independent wrestling ecosystem," Triple H said in a statement. 4 of the 5 WWE ID schools already have strong ties to WWE, with ROW, Nightmare Factory, Black and Brave, and Knox Pro Wrestling run/co-owned by Booker T, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and Rikishi, respectively. Meanwhile, one of Elite Pro Wrestling's head trainers, Mike Hollow, previously worked as WWE as an enhancement talent in the 90s. Independent talent associated with the program will also receive a WWE ID designation, with WWE providing financial opportunity for the talents, as well as assisting with training, mentorship, and development, including access to world-class facilities, best-in-class ring training, athletic trainers, and more. The program will also allow fans to monitor these talents' progress via matches, highlights, and behind-the-scenes content to be aired on WWE social platforms. So far, at least one independent promotion has expressed hesitancy towards this new program. Taken to X yesterday morning, shortly after the announcement, Ottawa-based promotion Capital City Championship Combat, best known as C4, posted several tweets, the first of which stated the point of independent wrestling was to grow, to learn, and that those claiming to be independent while backed by a billion-dollar promotion weren't independent. In later tweets, C4 poster later admitted that was their immediate reaction and hoped more information would arise that would prove them wrong. But there you go, guys. The latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.